Good morning, Algebra 1. We're going to talk about graphing calculators. Now, I'm sure all of you already know how to turn it on. And we're going to talk about a lot of these keys right up here by the window. We're going to talk about that y equals key. Now, if you ever needed to get out of that, you just do second quit. That takes you back to your computation screen. If I needed a fraction, alpha F1, that gives me my fraction shortcuts. Again, if I wanted to get out of that, I could do second quit. To find my absolute values, I would do alpha F2. And that's number 1, so I can hit 1, or I can just hit enter and it'll put an absolute value on my screen. Now, because we're going to graph lines, we are going to go back to that y equals key. Okay? And we're going to, I'm looking at the practice page. So we're going to do y equals, and the x is right next to your alpha key. Now the reason they do that is because we use x a whole lot. I mean, I could do alpha x or alpha something else, but why when I've got an x key? Okay, so x plus 4, and then I hit graph. Okay, now you'll notice that the intervals on the x-axis are wider than the intervals on the y-axis. So when I graph it, I want to use my ordered pairs, so I do second, hit graph again, because that gives me a table of my ordered pairs. Now lines go on forever, so I've got a gazillion points I could use. Do I have to graph them all? Absolutely not. I look for where I see zeros, because a 0 means it's on an axis. So -4, 0 is a point I want because it's on my axis. Okay? My other 0, where x is 0, is +4. That's on my y-axis, and I might pick another one, like 2, 6. 2, 6. 2 points to make a line and 3 to keep it straight. Okay, so I've plotted my points. I get my handy dandy 6-inch ruler and I draw my line. Now, part of the reason that you want to have 3 points is because some people make their dots really big. And if you make your dots really big, they might I might be able to draw 3 or 4 different lines through those same dots. So 2 to make the line, 3 to keep it straight. Okay, I'm going to add another function just to show you what it looks like. We're going to do y equals x squared minus 5. Okay, so if I take my calculator and I go back to my y equals, I'm going to clear what was there. I hit my x key. I've got an x squared key because we do a lot of squares, especially in Algebra 1. Minus 5. Now, because it's got an x squared, I know it's going to be a curve. So I hit graph, okay, and I get my nice parabola. Again, second table gives me my ordered pairs. Now, what I'm looking for in particular is I'm looking at that y column. And I notice that it goes 4, -1, -4, -5, -4, -1. Do you see where it changes direction? That's my vertex. Okay? So I'm going to plot what I can, -3, -3, 4, -2, -1, -1, -4, 0, -5, and then the rest is just mirror image, okay? So I can just match my points. Now again, this is a parabola, so it's a curve. Okay? All right, let's look at the next practice. That's got our absolute value. So I clear. Now remember, absolute value, that's your alpha F2, okay? And then I put in my x plus 2. Now see that little arrow? That tells me, hey, get out of your absolute value and then graph it. Okay, this one kind of is like that bouncing ball when you bounce it off the floor and it keeps going. Okay, so it's got that bounce point. I can see where that is on my graph. It's at -2 on the x-axis. So when I look at my ordered pairs, okay, I'm looking for that -2. See, that's my bounce point. And again, notice how the y's change direction. Okay, so I'm going to plot some points. But I'm going to start at that -2, 0. And look, it just kind of goes up in a straight path. That makes it really easy to graph. Okay? And then you take your handy dandy ruler. Remember, these go on forever. So you really do want to put arrows on the end. Okay? Now, let's do another one. Let's make one up. Let's say I had y equals the absolute value of x minus 4. Okay, because I just want you to kind of see what happens when it's outside of the absolute value. Okay, so I got to get my absolute value, alpha F2, absolute value, x, arrow out, minus 4. Okay. Uh-oh. Notice how it changed. Notice my bounce is on the y-axis. Second table. Okay. There's my bounce. Again, the numbers are just going by 1, so if I plot my bounce point at -4, I can just very easily plot my points and then use my handy dandy ruler, because your teacher likes straight lines. Okay, so there we've got a second one, and it's just moved. It's the same shape, it's just moved. Okay, all right, the third one, y equals clear. Now that 2 in front means 2 times the square root of x. Do you remember where the square root key is? It's above your x squared. So I'm going to do 2. My calculator does order of operations, so it automatically does times when you've got it next to. Second, x squared. I want to put in my x, and I want to arrow out, because that +1 is not under the radical. +1 graph. Now, I did put that 2 there for a reason, because it makes the curve a little bigger. Okay, and a square root curve is very short, and it's almost like a straight line. Okay, so I want my, now notice it's only in quadrant 1. Okay, so when I look at my table, I see all these errors because you can't do the square root of a negative number. Okay, so I don't have to graph any of those, but I'm going to look for the pretty ones. Okay, so I've got 0, 1. I've got 1, 3. And I don't have to worry about the decimal ones. I look for the pretty ones. 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 9, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I know it's going to be a curve, so I can just connect it in kind of a curve. Okay? Now, if I had y equals 2 times the square root of, let's put x plus 4, because we want it to look a little bit different, okay? If I did this one, okay, go back to y equals, clear, 2 second square root x plus 4, arrow out, okay? Look at the difference. It moved it over. This is in quadrant 2. So when I look at my ordered pairs, second table, okay? Okay? So I've got -4, 0. I've got -3, 2, 0, 4, and 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I can draw my curve. Okay? Hope this helps. We'll see you next week.